is another. Despite his huge parliamentary majority, even Peter Beattie, as Premier, balked at introducing this public health measure in Queensland. But his successor, Anna Bligh, has ignored the critics and pushed ahead with a fluoridation program in southeast Queensland this month. But with an election not too far off, will she pay a political price? Peter McCutcheon reports.
Our kids have the worst teeth in the country, and we need to stop that.
Why do you think fluoride generates so much passion?
Well, why are people against poisons?
40 years on, the great fluoride debate is still raging in Queensland. It's the latest in a series of issues that has tested the political nerve of the Bligh government, coming hot on the heels of sudden policy backdowns on water recycling and the construction of a major dam.
Recycle water like it was done and dusted a couple of weeks ago, so we haven't given up.
Seems to be that it's gathering a bit of momentum in terms of being a lightning rod for attracting all sorts of anti-government feelings.
Water fluoridation was rolled out across most of the United States in the decade following World War II. There was some opposition at the time, with claims it could even be part of a communist plot.
I think people love to distrust government. It's a common theme, and unfortunately in this regard it's something that's been tied in with fluoridation ever since it first began in 1945.
But while most of Australia embraced water fluoridation in the 1960s and early 70s, Queensland missed out, with the one exception of Townsville.
Queensland has always been a bit different. There was a Conservative government for 22 years who was from a rural background. I think the farmers often have an instinctive sort of a thing about nature, and they don't like playing with poisons. Lie down.
Brisbane GP and complementary medicine practitioner Dr John Ryan has been at the forefront of the fight against water fluoridation. He and his supporters challenge two assertions widely accepted by the scientific mainstream: that fluoridation is safe and that it reduces dental decay.
In the most favourable study supporting fluoride for efficacy, it's a difference of a half a tooth per mouth. There's 32 teeth in the mouth.
If we even took a half a tooth difference over 4 million Queenslanders, we've got 4 million cavities that are going to be stopped in a very short space of time.
Dr Robert McRae is a Brisbane dentist and fluoride spokesman for the Queensland Dental Association.
What you get with water fluoridation is more bang for your buck. You've simply got something that's very simple, something that can be done quite cost effectively, but which produces more benefit than any other single action that can take place.
But what about the safety of introducing fluoride at just under 1 part per million to the water supply? Well, the case against fluoride rests heavily on a 2006 review by the US National Research Council.
There's lots of research out there linking it to adverse effects. There's dental fluorosis, there's thyroid problems, it's stored in the bones for a start. Just about all the fluoride that's stored in your body is stored in bones, and it makes bones more brittle.
But the Australian Authority on Water Quality, the National Health and Medical Research Council, says this is misleading. The US report was specifically looking at fluoride levels considerably higher than those present in Australian drinking water.
It is not a report that is directly commenting on the safety of water fluoridation, either for most citizens in the United States or particularly for people in Australia.
We're not looking at an experiment to see what will happen. We know what will happen, and we're just bringing this into mainstream public health policy.
If fluoride is the poison that you say, why don't we see the evidence here in Australia that
we've gone down this road?
Queensland is so much better than the rest of the country?
They don't look. They will not look. There's no research done. So it's no saying there's no evidence when they're not looking for it.
Look around this room. There's one thing here that can reduce dental decay by up to 40%.
Although the Queensland government has the backing of the scientific mainstream, it still feels the need to run an extensive public relations campaign.
Fluoridated water. From December 2008, South East Queenslanders will have it on tap.
It's not really a case of it's going to bring the Bligh government down single-handedly, but it's an issue that could act as a lightning rod and attract a whole range of dissent.
Political analyst Paul Williams says the Queensland Premier's stocks appear to have dropped in the past few weeks, with backdowns on permanent water recycling and delays to the construction of the Traviston Crossing Dam. And controversy over fluoridation is the last thing she needs. After all, It's an area where her predecessor, Peter Beattie, feared to tread.
And there was a whole range of issues that the former Premier didn't want to raise. Daylight saving was another classic one. For fear of raising or generating or galvanising opposition to his government.
The Bligh government is hoping anti-fluoride gatherings like this one in the Premier's own electorate last month can be politically isolated. But the anti-fluoride campaign is taking heart from recent policy backflips and good old-fashioned Queensland spirit.
They don't like being pushed around, they don't like being patronised, they don't like being bullied, and their representatives, which us, they try continually to bully and marginalise us.
This is something that really has very strong support across many national and international health organisations. There's certainly very little debate in the scientific community about the validity of water fluoridation as a public health measure and its effectiveness as a public health measure.
Peter McCutcheon with that report